This is the launch of Naloxone. So here we're equipping frontline officers with a life-saving drug that allows us to reverse the effects of opiates. Now, the last few years in particular, we've seen synthetic opiates called nitazines that have come onto the streets that are far more potent than traditional heroin is. That's caused a number of different fatal overdoses. It's a really simple to administer nasal spray that officers can deploy, and the effects are absolutely transformative to someone.
The police are often first responders on things when, if somebody's found slumped, unconscious and unresponsive, it'll be an ambulance, but they'll also call the police. It absolutely makes sense for them to have access to this stuff.
The problem with nitazines is that because it's synthetic, it's very, very pure, you don't know exactly what your tolerance is going to be. So if you have a batch of heroin that's been adulterated with these synthetic opioids, then you can't judge accurately what your tolerance levels is.
When the troops pulled out of Afghanistan in 2021, they effectively handed control of that country back to the Taliban, who shut down 90% of the opium fields. 95% of Europe's heroin production came from them fields, so the production of heroin took a rapid dip. To solve that problem, drug dealers started resorting to these synthetic opiates, which are made in laboratories, which are anything up to 500 to 1,000 times stronger than heroin.
So the potency means that you can have a very tiny amount, a few grains of sand worth of nitazines, which would have the same effect as a much larger amount of heroin, a spoonful of heroin. So obviously that makes it very cheap to manufacture, it makes it very easy to distribute, and also, unfortunately, as we found, very easy to contaminate with other products. The Nixoid spray that we're using is devilishly simple to deploy. It's as easy as using a simple nasal spray. The officer finds the individual who they believe has had a fatal or near fatal overdose of opioid. They stick the spray up the person's nose and they spray it. The effect is almost instantaneous. The major training for today will be around how to identify someone who might be an overdose, what first aid we do in addition to the nasal spray, and how to give post-administrative care to those individuals.
I particularly think anybody should carry this stuff because it's so important, so easy to use, and yet it can be so valuable in saving someone's life.
These synthetic opioids are certainly circulating within the county. There'll be some of them in the county right now being used. Most heroin is adulterated to some extent. We're also finding other types of drugs that have traces of nitazines in there as well, so perhaps cocaine, spice and other things.